Hello and welcome to Motors for the Masses, and today we're continuing my journey from diesel to electric, possibly. So I thought I'd have a look at another car, and today that's exactly what I did. So let's roll the intro and get cracking. So what was I looking at? Well, it was the Kia EV6. Now, some of you had made that suggestion in the last video, and thank you very much for your comments and suggestions. And yes, I hadn't even thought of the Kia EV6. Now, a lot of people were also suggesting the MG electric thing, but you missed the comment I made at the beginning of the last video when I was talking about electric, and that is that I want something that's quirky and interesting and a bit out there and a bit crazy looking. If I'm definitely taking this route from diesel to electric, I don't just want another mainstream car that looks like everything else on the road. I want to stand out in something that looks a bit bleh, a bit crazy, a bit bonkers. So that's what I'm looking for. No, I'm not going for a Mustang Mach-E on principle. I'll be honest, they're too expensive anyway. But on principle, I'm not going down that route, because being a Mustang man and a Mustang owner, it isn't a Mustang, it's a Ford Fusion. Don't call it a Mustang, because it isn't. So yes, I am looking at possibly electric, and they are going to be quirky. So let's get on with this Kia EV6, shall we? Well, as you can see, they look fantastic. Although I have to say, not so much in the base model, which is just the Air. Very interesting name. So they call it the Air, and it looks a bit meh. But it's only when you get to the GT line and above, you've got the extra skirts, the front valance, the different spoiler on the back, and the privacy glass. So it looks a bit more out there and very, very attractive looking. I love the way the lines sweep round the side and over the back end and then back round, and that continues inside. You've got lines that sort of flow nicely into each other, into the trim and along the door cards and around the front instrument panel. Looks very nice indeed. I love that. Really does look nice. So let's kick off with the prices straight away. The prices are from just under 41,000 up to 58,000 on the road. So what does that get you? Well, 41,000 gets you the 226 brake horsepower rear-wheel drive dull-looking Air model with the range of 328 miles. Now that is fantastic. That really is impressive. Much better than anything from the Ioniq 5, and sort of almost 3 times more than the Honda E I was looking at. Real world, let's say 300. All the cars have a 77.4 kilowatt battery, but there are, to say, various different trim models, so I'm just going to quickly briefly go through those. You then have from the GT line, you've got the 226 brake horsepower rear-wheel drive GT line. That starts at just under 44,000 and has a range of 328 miles. Then you've got the 321 brake horsepower all-wheel drive GT line. That starts at 47,500 pounds with a 314 mile range. Then you've got the 226 brake horsepower rear-wheel drive GT Line S model. That starts at 48,500 pounds with a 313 mile range, or the 321 brake horsepower all-wheel drive GT Line S, which starts at 52,000 and a 300 mile range. Again, all better than the Ioniq 5. Personally, the GT Line S is not really for me, because it's just got the trick bits extra. But you do get options in the middle of each of those as well. In the middle of those, you've got an option for the previous model with a heat pump. Now, what is a heat pump, I hear you ask? Well, the heat pump helps reduce winter range loss by around 19% by keeping some of that heat waste from the motor and electric points and then sort of regenerating it, which is quite nice. I feel that's a massive plus and well worth the money. Now, for those that want a bonkers one, there is going to be a GT, a full-on GT model, which apparently has 577 brake horsepower. It's all-wheel drive, and that'll cost you £58,000. But the range on that is around 250 miles. That's still pretty impressive. Now, colour options. You do get red, pearl white, black or dark grey for the base model. It's the same for the GT line and the GT line S, except the dark grey becomes light grey and dark blue is added. The full-on GT has the same, except no blue and no red. So basically you get black, white or light grey, which seems a bit daft really. For the bonkers one, you'd think there'd be a bonkers colour. But no, it's just black, white or grey. How very dull. So what about performance? Well, the rear-wheel drive 226 brake horsepower models have a top speed of 114 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in just over 7 seconds. The all-wheel drive 321 brake horsepower model has a top speed of 116 miles an hour, 0 to 60 is about 5.2. And the 557 brake horsepower GT version apparently is going to have a top speed of 161 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Not bad, but it's still 58 grand. What other options are different? Well, the Air and the GT line have the same 19-inch wheels, although they go from sort of a usual alloy colour to like a graphite alloy colour. The S has a 20-inch wheel and the GT has a 21-inch wheel. Well, not just one of them, 21-inch wheels, you know what I mean. Now, being a Kia, it does come with a 7-year or 100,000 mile warranty. I don't think you'll be doing 100,000 miles in 7 years in an electric car. You may be, but I don't know. Possibly, I suppose. Only if you average 10,000 miles a year, that's 70,000 miles. You've got to be going some to do 100,000 miles. That's sort of rep-mobile type territory. And I don't know how many reps are going to be in electric cars. Mind you, a couple of the reps at my work who've been coming in are saying that they're trying to encourage people into electric vehicles by giving them a bigger subsidy. So possibly, who knows? I like the dash you get in here. It's very similar to the Ioniq. You've got this big massive double dash which gives you all the information. When the cameras are hooked up on the GTS or GT Line S model, you've got cameras that show on the screen for your mirrors and things like that. The sat-nav is powered by TomTom, which is very good, so no problems with that, I shouldn't think. On the outside, I think the looks of it are amazing. I love the lines, I love the quirkiness of it. I think the looks are fantastic. Like on the Ioniq 5, you get a front storage, although there is a difference between what model you get. If you get the rear-wheel drive model, you get a 52-litre storage in the bonnet. If you get the all-wheel drive model, you get 20 litres, because obviously the all-wheel drive system takes up more under the bonnet. The car uses a Type B charger that most cars use and is accepted at all charge points, so that's quite handy. Inside, you've got great leg room, again very similar to the Ioniq, and bigger than the Honda E, although in the front it's not too bad. In the back, you've got plenty of room, lots of leg room. It's nice and comfortable. I like these seats, which apparently are vegan friendly. Not that you'd be licking or eating the seats. That basically means that no meat thingies were harmed in the making of these seats. So it's vegan leather, which kind of sort of says to me that it's not leather. Leatherette, I guess. But, you know, whatever. Other than that, what you also have is under these seats, you've got a 3-pin plug, so you can plug stuff into with a locking point, so little Chavvies and Chavettes can't shove their fingers in the hole. And I also like these. You've got USB charge points in the back of the front seats, which is quite handy for the little ones to play around with their electronic stuff. Charging the car should take around 8 hours, although in a typical service station, about 30 minutes to 80%. Pretty average, really. There is a super fast charger which can charge to 80% in 18 minutes, and they do advertise that in their bump. However, there are only about 6 to 10 of those charge points in the country, so the likelihood of you using one is very, very slim indeed. So I wouldn't take that to the bank, personally. What was that used in? Robocop? Maybe. Anyway. Now, the dealership I was at today, they did say that there are deals to be had from household energy companies regarding home wall chargers. Usually the price is around £800, but these deals could put a massive hole in that if you get a good deal with your home electric and a charge point thrown in for £200 or £300. So that might be worth looking into. One thing I really do like is that the battery in this is made up of individual cells. So if they fail, the failed cells can be replaced rather than the entire battery. Makes a massive difference as far as cost is concerned and ease of getting the job done. So your car isn't disappearing for several days or weeks on end. Now, as well as the seats being vegan meat free or whatever it is, apparently the entire car is recyclable. Now, I don't mean it's made of cardboard. Basically, that means that everything they use can be recycled and used again. Interesting. So inside, all the little digits and dials on the dash look lovely. They are very clean. Again, very similar to the Ioniq. Very simple to use. You can switch from sort of radio to aircon and stuff like that, and you've got the controls on the steering wheel like every car really. There's nothing special with that. They've all got those, but it's just nice trick bits. So my choice, what would I go for? Well, realistically I would go for the 321 brake horsepower all-wheel drive GT line model with the heat pump. The reason I'd go for that is the heat pump does do some fantastic stuff with that, you know, saving 19% worth of energy loss, which obviously makes your battery last longer. But also, all-wheel drive gives you that extra bit from 226 to 321 horsepower. I like that. Of course, I'd probably like to have the GT, full-on GT 557 horsepower one, but I'm not paying 58 grand. You know, that's literally £11,000 more than this GT line. I probably wouldn't go for the GT line S either, because that, like the Ioniq, is just extra trick bits that I don't really want. And when I say trick bits, I'm talking sort of self-parking and, you know, all that lane assist stuff, which I think does come with a GT line, but there's just lots of other little bits. Like, I'm going to read off the screen here so I can help myself. So yes, nicer interior bits. You have the option to have blue, yeah, which is what I like. I can't see the point in having the best car in the range with only 3 colour options. Surely that should, as I say, that should have more colour options, or a crazier colour option, because it's a ludicrous. Am I allowed to say that, or has Tesla stolen that and used that only for themselves? Have they sued anyone who's used the word ludicrous in concerns to cars? I don't know, that tends to be what people do these days. Drives you nuts, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, so heads-up display is another thing. I don't really need that. 360 view, don't really need that. Collision avoidance, no thanks. I'll just turn the steering wheel slightly myself. Slightly bigger wheels, 19 to 20 inch. I mean, the 19-inch wheels look big enough anyway. I don't really need 20-inch wheels. Heated rear seats. My little boy's on a booster seat, so it's pointless. It doesn't really make any difference. Highway driving assist, I don't really want that. No thank you. Sort of parking collision avoidance, I think is another one. Why do I want parking collision avoidance? If I can't park, like I said before, I shouldn't have passed my test. So I don't need the car to go, oh, I think you find you a bit close. That would just annoy me. No, I'm fine, thank you. I'll make my own decisions. And if I bump into something, then it's my own fault. But at least I'm still in control for now. So yeah, I don't want any of that. So the GT Line S model is not really for me. I'll just stick with the GT line. I don't know whether I like it more than the Ioniq 5. I don't know. Now, they've taken details of my truck and they're going to come back to me with a price. So I will do an update video after I've looked at another electric car. I'm not going to tell you what that is yet, but I have one in the pipeline that I'm interested in. The deal that I was going to get from Hyundai, I wasn't that impressed with. Now, they were going to offer me just under 17 grand trade-in for my truck. That's pretty good. I'm quite surprised by that, to be honest. It would have meant that I'm looking at around about sort of 570 something pounds a month for 4 years, and that's a bit too much for me. From the calculation I did on the computer, it looks like it's going to be less for a Kia. Now, it's nothing to do with the deposit or anything like that, or the value for the truck, because I just put in the same amount that I would get, and it comes out a lot cheaper. I don't want to say too much at the moment because it depends what they come back with. But yeah, it seems to be a lot cheaper, and over 3 years rather than 4 years as well, which was interesting, which tends to say to me that Hyundai's interest rates were a lot higher. But as I say, I'll do another video that shows these costs in a bit more detail after I've looked at the last vehicle I'm going to look at. So let me know your thoughts. What do you think? I love the look of it. As I say, I don't know if I prefer it over the Ioniq 5 because that just looks crazy enough to be something I would fall in love with. Especially like the lights and the pixelated. It's like a 1980s computer game. That's what I like about it. So let me know in the comment section below what you think. Please do. Do you have one of these EV6s? Have you driven it? What do you reckon? It's got more power than the Ioniq 5 and a better range as well. I don't know. And that brings me to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for joining me. Please like, subscribe and share, and check all out our other videos. If you're in the vicinity, please pop down to Stormy Pit Stop Cafe and have some food and drink and come and have a chat. If you fancy supporting this channel, please take a look at our Patreon link and our Facebook merchandise shop, where you can buy various merchandise. And that's it really. So until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.